Yo, what's up, Colton? Walter, what's up? Tyrus, Matt, Jay Mills. What's going on, everybody? Give a couple of minutes, let everybody get in. When will the breaks come? What breaks are you referring to, Colton? Keith, Mike, what's up? Figure we get to it a little bit early this morning. Good little slate of basketball tonight. Loving the basketball card. But a good bit of work to do on it, so I wanted to go ahead and get this out of the way. Walter, hey, I didn't get to watch overtime. I had to turn it. Well, to be honest with you, I didn't even get to watch first half. When I started, I had someone texting me that was like, they kept telling me what was going on, and I'm like, damn, I'm gonna watch this game. So no need to watch the first half. Then I got caught up in the Indiana Pacers game, and then after that, I was tuned into finishing up something with the podcast, and then I started watching the Washington game. That was, I don't, man, that Boston Bruins game. And what was weird is I went back and I didn't watch the entire game. I just watched the third period because that's obviously when I saw the Kings coming back and doing stuff. Is it just me or did the Kings look like a completely different team? I didn't notice anything different Boston was doing other than what they do on a normal night. So I'm not going to sit there and say that Boston gave the game away. And maybe they did, and I just didn't. I wasn't catching on to it. But, I mean, LA played like their franchise depended on it. Like, it was like, hey, when are the team's gone? I mean, I haven't seen them play with so much urgency in the last few seasons. What's up, Leon? It was a very late night for me last night. I guess I can go ahead and make the announcement. We'll make it again once more people come in. So Outfielders Anonymous, my baseball podcast that I started last year, kind of had to go on a hiatus due to just some changes that were being made on the back end of that podcast, as well as me making a transition that obviously led me here. So you guys already know about that. And then once it got so late in the season, I didn't want to try to pick back up, and leave out so much. So we decided to take a hiatus from it and then have to make the decision is this something that we are going to do full time? Is this something that we're really going to go head first into? Because one thing that I think, all of my clients know about me is if I'm not going to give it 110%, I'm not going to do it. I would rather just say, screw it, going to leave it in the past versus not be able to really give it my all. So after a lot of consideration, a lot of meetings, a lot of money spent, we decided we were going to go head first into it. So the announcement made is that the company that actually owns the podcast is my company. Partially my company. I do have a co-partner in it, and as well as a back-end investing partner. Company's called Bleacher Bum Media. So we've gotten all of our media rights that we have to be able to talk about MLB, talk about teams, talk about players. There's just so much out there that you have to be aware of and that you have to be legally doing the right way. It's almost ridiculous how much you have to worry about there. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pieces of paper that had to be read through. But anyway, the company is official. Bleacher Bum Media Group is the official name of the company. Outfielders Anonymous is kind of my baby. And on that morning chase, nice one on that under in the Pacers game. Did it go under? I didn't even look at that, Lou. I was looking because I placed that bet on the money line and then ended up releasing the Pacers +4 as a big premium play. So did end up releasing the game, did not play the total. I wasn't even paying attention to the total at the end. But anyway, so Bleacher Bum Media is official. Outfielders Anonymous is the all baseball podcast. That's kind of my baby. Me and my partner both run the show. We relaunched it last night. So you can go to Spotify, you can go to Apple Podcasts, you can go to Google Play, you can go to any podcast platform you want, type in Outfielders Anonymous, and we released episode 0 last night. That is the introduction. It kind of gives a little insight as to who we are. It's about 20 minutes long, and then episode 1 is the interview from last season with Eric Jurenko of the Greenville Drive-In Boston Red Sox. Have 2 more interviews that we locked in yesterday afternoon. I can't say the names yet, but they are major league people. One being more on the managerial side of things, one being in the ownership side of things that I'm going to be traveling for in the next coming weeks. Software has been purchased, so it's very easy now for us to record and upload quickly. And we also signed a deal last night to start another all sports betting podcast, if you will. That one will launch right after the first of the year. That's going to be one that I am going to have guests on. It's going to be all interactive. We're going to be doing futures. It's just all sports betting related. And then back in 2016, after a bunch of social media stuff had circled around for 2 years involving the Cubs, I had gotten offered to do some media stuff with them, turned it down because I wasn't willing to move my entire family to the city at that point. So we're in talks right now of being able to do a full-blown Cubs podcast. That will be kind of like my pet project. Hopefully we'll sign the paperwork on that in the coming days. And then I'm looking to potentially hire people to run podcasts based on other sports. I'll be guest on them, but I'll kind of let them take the reins and do it. We'll set up advertising sponsorship for them so they can get paid for it and make as much money as they want to. So that's the announcement. Go to Spotify, show some love to Outfielders Anonymous. Listen to those first 2 episodes that we've got. Episode 3 is recorded. It's involving the winter meetings. Some of the things that I haven't talked about on here, we cover there. And that one should be out by week's end as long as Spotify releases it. It has been recorded. It has been uploaded. There is an approval process that all of these have to go through to make sure that we don't break any laws and so on and so forth, being that we are talking about Major League Baseball. So as soon as that gets published, I'll let you guys know. Back-to-back rough day. They happen, Alex. They happen. But I can tell you what we don't have. We don't have bad months. We don't have bad years. But bad weeks happen. And this may be one of them. You never know. I mean, it's still early in the week. But this isn't the first time I've had back-to-back bad days, and it certainly won't be the last. That's why I tell people, I don't focus on what happens in a day. I don't focus on what happens in 2 days. It sucks to lose. I hate it. I hate it more than anything in the world. But I look at numbers at the end of the week, I look at numbers at the end of the month, and I look at numbers at the end of the year, and they're always substantially more sided in the green, and that's all that matters. Short term is irrelevant. Long term is all that matters. Walter, what you might be spelling is 2 of them. What you might be smelling is 2 of them. Had it not been for Kent State last night, Indiana would have been a top play. But I was not willing to release 3 of them. It made the cut, but Kent State was actually rated higher. Well, the only thing I don't know about that as far as college basketball goes is William Hill's released most of their lines. There's still a few of them out there that, like, there's no offshore lines on. I just want to make sure that everything is in line before I make an assumption. Free plays yesterday were good. The only one that didn't come through is the lean on Marquette that I gave you. Washington came through. Indiana came through. Money line and the spread. What now? I tell you, the game that confused me the most wasn't actually the Bruins game. It was the Tampa Bay game. Did anyone else watch it and get the feeling that the goalie had no pull on his left side? Like, almost like something on his left side was bothering him. And I don't know that to be true. There was nothing in an injury report. There's nothing being stated that he's dealing with some underlying issue or injury. But when you saw him, people come up from the left side, which that's where Ottawa was scoring last night, it's almost like at first he was trying to stop stuff, but then he wasn't because it was like bothersome to him. And maybe I'm just crazy, but that's what I saw from watching as much as I was able to watch. Chad, that one jumps out at me too. We're going to talk about that one in a few minutes. That's one I had circled to talk about, so I'm glad you brought that up. So I guess let's start with this. Before we get into any actual games, I was up till about 4 a.m. this morning. After we got the podcast done, loaded, we got the Winter Meetings episode done and loaded so that Spotify and everybody could approve it. I went in, reloaded numbers into my system, and then spent about 2 hours going over these numbers, and I redid my power rankings for all 353 teams. Some of this may surprise you guys, but let's go ahead and go over what do you guys want to do? Top 10, top 15, top 20? Hell, we can do all top 25 if you want to. But what I want to ask you guys is before I announce any of this. So you guys know for the last week who's been my number one team, who's been it prior to that. After last night, so this is every game that's been played in college basketball through the December the 17th, yesterday. So every single play, game, stat has been taken into consideration. It's been loaded into my system, plus my own just personal thoughts about everything. Who do you guys think right now my number one team is? First one to get it right, I'll give you a little something. Keith Davis, you got it first. It is Ohio State still. All right, Keith. I'm going to be having a very big top play this week. And it's going to be a play of the month, I believe. Possibly play of the year. I'm not going to tell you what it's in. Obviously, you guys know that it's not going to be in the NFL or college football because I've already had my final game of the month in college. We've already had games of the year in both those sports. But there is probably, unless something significant changes from now until that game, there will be a big play. Keith, do you already get all of my big top plays? I've got 3 or 4 Keiths. I just want to make sure that I'm thinking of the right account here. All right, well then, Keith, you're going to get that play for free. Yeah, no, Leon, y'all didn't tie. It was y'all both got it right, but there was a bunch of people that guessed it right. It was the first one that got it right, and Keith was the first one. Oh, my man, John's in here. What's up, John? He was number 2. The third person to get it right was you. So, said I was going to give something away. So, Keith, do you have an account on the site? Lou, I like your thoughts on that one. Especially the Utah thing. I was thinking that not 20 minutes ago. No, it's not Kansas. Kansas isn't even in my top 3. I've got Kansas at number 5. Hey, John, me and you need to chat this afternoon. I think you know what it's about. So, Keith, do you have an account on the site? Have you ever bought anything from the site before? Okay, give me your username. So what I'll do is when that play happens, I'll unlock your account to get it, and I'll shoot you an email directly from the website letting you know it's there so you can just log in and get it. Just shoot me your username real quick. I mean, you can put it in here. Nobody can do anything with it. And I'll write it down and make a note to give it to you when we have it. KT Davis. All right, be on the lookout for an email from me this week. And then once you get it, you'll just have to log in. You'll see the link for it. Click it. Play will be there. It'll be labeled what it is, all that stuff. So, who knew that I was going to be so generous this morning? All right, let's go over my top teams. So right now, considering every game that has been played through yesterday, so every game that was played yesterday has been taken into account. Every stat, and then my own, because I'll tell you this, and I'll be honest with you, based on just the system that I've built, the numbers that I enter, it spits me out, what the rankings should be based on everything that I take into account. Sometimes I will fudge those numbers. If someone's supposed to be 24, I may put them at 26 based on my personal perception of something outside of the numbers. So I'll admit that. My top teams Ohio State, number 1, still. Duke, number 2, still. Louisville, number 3, still. I've got Gonzaga at number 4, Kansas at number 5, Maryland at number 6, Michigan State 7. Number 8 is Purdue. Number 9 is Kentucky. Number 11 is Butler. Or number 10 is Butler. Number 11 is Virginia. Number 12, Oregon. 13 is Arizona. We've got Baylor after that, Florida State, Dayton, Michigan, Auburn, Villanova, Iowa, Florida, Tennessee, Seton Hall, Penn State, and LSU. LSU may be the biggest surprise to everyone out of that, or the fact that I don't have Virginia in my top 10, or the fact that I've got Purdue rated as high as I do. But there's my top 25, people. The way I see it, the way I evaluate it, that is my top 25. And we've got some top 25 teams playing tonight. Somebody asked me early this morning, where do I see North Carolina? Truth be told, based on the numbers, because they've had some bad losses, but they've got an upside to it, I've got them ranked at 36 overall. I'm giving them a little bit of credit in the fact that they still move the ball well. They're cold right now, though. Now, everybody's talking about Anthony being out, how it's going to destroy any hopes they had this season. Is it going to hurt? Oh, there's no question. Is it going to kill it? No, it's actually a benefit to North Carolina right now because of how they've been playing. Now, hear me out on this. With Anthony, outside of... It's like Keith. Remember I told you that's the team. That right there is a team to look for sure. I like where you got Iowa. Did drop in those rankings. Now it's out for the year. Well, the thing is, they would have been. They actually, if that wasn't the case, Colton, they'd be 2 positions higher. I bumped them down 2 positions for that reason alone. Now, being that they haven't done anything detrimental on the losing side of things since the loss, you can't really pull them out yet. Are they going to drop more because of that? I do believe so, because of how tough the Big Ten is this year. But I can't take them out of the mix because of what I think is going to happen 2 weeks from now. You know what I mean? We got to let it happen and then let the chips fall where they may. But anyway, outside of the Notre Dame game where Cole just went out and absolutely showed that he was probably the best point guard in the country. And North Carolina's had some, and don't get me wrong, Cole's played great. But now that they've lost, even with him, they've had a rough year. They're not gelling together. They're not playing like they should. They're playing as if they've never played together before. Now, so much has been put on Cole Anthony's shoulders because of the struggles they're going through. The fact that now he's out is going to give Roy Williams and that coaching staff a chance to really evaluate the rest of the team. It's going to give the team a chance to step up and step out. So do I think that we're going to be looking at a few weeks of struggle going forward? Absolutely, I do. Do I think that they're going to finish out this year with as high hopes as they did going into the season? I do not. But I do believe that with Cole's presence 4 to 6 weeks out, the information that I got from the inside, looking out, was that he should be ready to start practicing in 3 weeks. Roy wants to hold him back 4 weeks, let him start getting a couple of minutes at a time, see how he does running a really, really, really stout practice, because he wants him back in under 6 weeks, 6 weeks being worst case as long as he recovers as they think that he will. There's 2 games right now on the schedule that Roy's worried about. Everything else, the chips are going to fall where they may. That's Duke at home, and that's Clemson at home. Clemson's never beaten North Carolina in Chapel Hill in basketball, ever. Roy doesn't want that to happen this year. I don't think they necessarily need Anthony to beat them, but it would most certainly help. And I mean, obviously, who wants to lose to their rival at home? So, anyway, I think that it's going to give them a chance to really start gelling together, start figuring out where some of the internal problems lie. If they can figure those things out and they can get back to a smooth pace of play, then when Anthony comes back, he won't come back as the end-all, be-all. He'll just come back as a piece of the lineup. And I think that's going to benefit the team more so than Anthony. But I'm not worried about Cole Anthony. I'm worried about the team. The fans are worried about the team. The students are worried about the team. The coaches are worried about the team. The team is worried about the team. The only person that's worried about Cole Anthony is Cole Anthony and his people. But as a team, you can't worry about that guy. Now, give me a second. I got to cut this fucking heat off. Hold on. God mighty, it was getting hot. Anyway, what I'm also getting is that there's going to be insurance meetings involving Anthony because of the injury, which I understand. We're going to see, I think, what his reaction is to staying with North Carolina long term. That's going to decide what Roy Williams and the university is willing to sign off on insurance-wise. Seeing whether or not they think that he is going to be back for at least one more year. So I'll keep you guys updated as to what I hear on that. So, somebody brought up Oregon tonight. Now, the reason that this game stood out to me, because again, I don't love laying big numbers with Pac-12 teams. I've told you guys that before. Told you that yesterday with Washington. I mean, yeah, we'll take them when the time is right. Yesterday, Washington time was right. We took it, premium, free play. But Montana doesn't match up with Oregon well. Now, here's the thing. Montana has a little bit of size on them. Montana's also not the worst shooting team out there. But what they don't have that Oregon is probably best known for is their speed. If this game goes the way that it should go, Oregon's going to win this game by 30 plus, and the reason's going to be because with 15 minutes to go in the game, Montana's going to be completely out of gas, and Oregon's going to still be rotating players. One thing that Oregon is trying to do, which I like, from our side of looking at things, because we're not just looking at wins and losses. We're looking at, are you going to beat a team by how much, how often, so on and so forth. Oregon wants that top 10 spot. They want that top 10 respect. They want to be considered a true contender. And right now, like I said, I've got Oregon placed where they are. I think that we could be looking at a true top 10 Oregon team this year. I want to see what they do in conference play when they get to have to play real competition on a more consistent basis. But because you're in the Pac-12, and because the Pac-12 doesn't get the respect that it used to, or at least it hasn't in recent years, since UCLA was, back in the Lonzo Ball days, style points mean something to them. And Oregon's a stylish team, and the spread's 19. I don't love that, but Oregon's one of those teams where if they're up by 25, they're not just going to hang the towel up and go, okay, well, we can't lose now. No, if they're up by 25, it's how do we get to 30? How do we get to 35? And so that's what makes me confident in laying a high spread against a team that is just so much faster than their opposition. So for that reason, I do like Oregon. Now, being that it is a West Coast game, being that it's being played later, game doesn't start till 11 p.m. on the East Coast, I probably won't have any sort of practice report, shoot around report, full medical report, anything like that until probably about 4 o'clock today. So until then, I won't label it as anything more than a free play, but if nothing substantial shows up on it, that's probably going to be a premium selection. Oh, that's a good question. I think every Big Ten team's on upset alert right now, especially when they're talking about facing Big Ten opponents. Do I think that Michigan State is going to take a home loss to an inferior opponent? Yes. I don't know that Northwestern has the size to do it. Now, if Michigan State doesn't come to play, Northwestern's not a good team, guys. They're not. We've played and made some money with Northwestern this year. Northwestern kind of screwed us the other day. Well, Northwestern didn't. Their opponent did by taking a shot with 1 second left to screw us by a point. But that's neither here nor there. Either way, Northwestern's not a good team. They're nowhere near the caliber of team that Michigan State is. Michigan State could, bench half their starters and still be a world above what Northwestern is when they're completely healthy. I don't even have I don't know what you mean, can't catch a break. Bad days happen. Bad days happen. Isn't the first, won't be the last, but you look at any sort of long-term record, last 10 days, last, 30 days, last 90 days, last year, all numbers are outstanding. I don't think that Northwestern has the ability to beat Michigan State at home. Now, Michigan State has the ability to lay off and get beat at home. But if they come to play, Northwestern doesn't have the size to keep up, underneath with Michigan State. They can't rebound against Michigan State. Michigan State's very good at drawing fouls. That's why I have Michigan State ranked as high as I do. Truth be told, I don't think that Michigan State offensively or even speed-wise is a top 10 team. But one thing that they do very well is rebound, and they draw fouls probably better than any team in the country, in my opinion. Duke draws them pretty well, but Duke also gets the benefit of the doubt a lot of times because of Coach K. Same thing happens, with Bruce Pearl. Same thing happens with Calipari. So, Michigan State, as far as a team that can draw a foul and get a second chance shot, they're one of the top 2 teams in the country, in my opinion. It is, Garrett, because today is the first day of the 7 Days of Christmas special. I'll talk more about that in a few minutes, but yes, it is. Colton, maybe. I'm not overly impressed by Utah, but when Utah's hot, they're hot. the thing is, it's really, I mean, we know what Kentucky's game is going to be. It's going to be get the line as much as you can, burn clock, shoot threes. You know, the Calipari special. Problem is, they're going out there and playing a team like Utah that also relies on the long ball to hang with good teams. So if they get hot, then yeah, they absolutely, this could be upset type game. But they're going to have to get hot and stay hot. They can't just do it for a little while. And so it's really going to be up to how much is Calipari going to make these boys, you know, pressure that outside shot. You know, if he lets them get comfortable, yeah, I think it could be a very close game. If he really, you know, keeps them on their toes, then I don't think it would be hard for Kentucky to cover this, you know, 11.5-point spread. I don't see a ton of value in the game. That was one of the first ones I looked at because I knew that was kind of going to be one of the more looked at games. The spread's right. I mean, I had it at 12. So, I mean, opening at 11.5, I even see a couple of 12s out there. I don't see any value, you know, as far as the line itself. You know, and the reason it's as close as it is because not only is Kentucky on the road, this is going to be a packed house. It's sold out. And you're, you know, playing at 11 o'clock. The time difference, the elevation, that's why. Otherwise, I mean, if the tables were turned, it was at Rupp Arena, I mean, Kentucky would probably be favored by 18 or 19. NBA teams, I haven't done my NBA card yet for the day, so what I'm getting ready to tell you, do not take this as me telling you to play it. Do not take this as me telling you that it is one of my plays or that it's even a free play. But teams that are on upset alert for tonight in the NBA, in my opinion, at first glance, are the Wizards, which that's not going to be a surprise to anyone if the Wizards lose at home. I think the Mavericks could be on upset alert. They're not even favored to win at this point, but home upset alert, I say Dallas Mavericks, the Washington Wizards, and possibly even the Philadelphia 76ers. Cleveland Cavaliers are always on upset alert, but they're also playing one of the more inconsistent teams in the Hornets. There's definitely one game college football, LSU versus Oklahoma. LSU offense will put up points. Do you see LSU D struggling with Hurts running like Ole Miss did? Yes, because I don't think LSU has much of a defense. Here's the thing, guys. Let's go back to the Alabama game with LSU. Alabama had the worst defense that they've had in the Nick Saban era this year. I'm not saying the defense was terrible. It was just kind of non-existent. And Alabama was still able to come back the second half and completely dismantle LSU's so-called defense and make a damn game of it. Now, they're playing a Big 12 team, so we know that the Big 12 has a history of there being no defense, especially within schools like Oklahoma. So, yes, it's going to be a shootout. I think Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Joe Burrow. I'm sure everybody wants to shoot me over that, but I'm sorry. Jalen Hurts is more of a playmaker. I think that Joe Burrow has been blessed with more weapons and a better offensive line to where he can throw the ball. But I'll be honest with you, put Fromm on that team, put Jake Bentley on that team, put Tua on that team, put Hurts on that team, put any above average quarterback on LSU, they'll all be successful because they protected their quarterback so well. What I'm seeing at the moment is 203.5. One game that I haven't got to go over yet that I'm looking forward to going over that I see a possibility of a live dog is Cincinnati tonight at home over Tennessee. I just need to look deeper into that one. I have not put any money on it. But I definitely see Cincinnati giving Tennessee some problems. Don't mean to get off topic, but what? Something's fishy about that Oregon State game. I think Arizona State could be a live dog tonight. I think USC Upstate could be a live dog tonight. Got a lot of work to do in these games, but I think it's going to be a fun and interesting night in college basketball. What sucks is I did all that work late last night to redo my rankings, and I have a feeling there's going to be some major changes over the next 48 hours. But it'll be all right. Sometimes, Keith, there's certain races that are like that, but you'll know it if it is. If he does, you'll see him listed 1 through 5. It's not always like that, but he does have them like that sometimes. And he doesn't always list that many drivers. It's all depending on the race, how things go, you know. Was the play no time? Don't know what that means. We already talked about the Oregon game. Yeah, you should have, Walter, you should have seen underneath the driver card. You should have seen the directions as far as betting the overall winners. Should have. I mean, I posted it there because I'm the one that posts his card. He doesn't. He sends it to me. I review it to make sure that, number, because I go back and look at the numbers to make sure that they are correct and accurate. Because a lot of times he'll finish up the card and I might not get to the point where I can post it until an hour later, something like that. So I have to go back and just kind of review to make sure that there hasn't been any significant changes as far as, lines or something like that. And then I actually post his card. Yeah, but that was, there wouldn't have been any, because that was the last race of the season. So, like in the video that I had done, saying like in the championship round, when we were taking the drivers that actually had something to race for, you were able to step out and do normal, like premium wagers on it. And if I didn't make that clear enough, then that's my fault. Because you were actually being able to take some of your winnings at point, step out more without a ton of risk because you didn't have to worry about trying to bounce back from anything the following week. It was over at that point. On some of them. I mean, there were weeks where it was half units, there were weeks where it was full units, and then there was even some where it was different on other ones. I mean, I don't remember which races they were. I mean, but all of it, I mean, this season, you guys will see all that. And if you don't, just let me know. Because I make him put all that stuff on there. And I'll make sure that it's in good detail to where it shouldn't leave anything to the imagination. Why do I keep getting an error? Hold on one second, guys. This freaking streaming thing keeps giving me an error. I don't know why it's saying there's an error and YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain streaming. The hell does that mean? Software says that there's 100% connection. Keith, do me a favor. You or Walter one. Run the chat for a second. I'm just going to plug this router directly into my laptop. I don't know why I would need to. I mean, Jesus Christ, as much money as I pay for the Wi-Fi I have here, say an excellent connection, but the YouTube side saying that it's not getting enough video resolution. So I don't know what's going on. So just to try to avoid anything crashing or stopping, I'm gonna plug this router in real quick just to make sure. I can't wait to have this freaking room redone where I won't have to. As soon as this furniture is delivered, we'll be done where it can be permanent, everything's set up. There'll be its own separate video router for all this crap because I bought 2 of them, one for the podcast, one for this. Give me Keith or Walter, one or both of you, I don't care. Run the ship for a minute. How much time we got? Just under 20 minutes, and the Garrett Cole press conference starts. All right, hopefully that fixed it. I had to go sign for a package. My attorney, him and I are both, I think all you guys know I'm a big watch guy. And I bought him a Rolex Daytona last year, like one that I had. Or I say last year. A couple of months ago for his birthday. And he knows that I'm kind of getting more into, I used to hate leather straps, rubber straps. Started getting more into them, so he actually had me one custom designed. And after a few months of waiting, apparently it's finally here, so you guys will get to see it for the first time like I will. Oh, that's sexy. That's sexy. For the longest time, I would not wear anything with a rubber strap or a leather strap. Started wearing more leather straps. Bought a Daytona with a rubber strap on it, an AP with a rubber strap on it. Started getting more into it. That's a good looking watch. Let's take her for a test drive. Hey, it actually matches what I'm wearing too. Hell yeah, I like it. Who's going to have a nice Christmas, Keith? Oh, this is mine. He got it for me. I got him a Rolex Daytona. I've got a few of them, and he had seen one of mine that he really, really liked, and he tried to buy it off of me. So I actually got him one for his birthday. People like that, you always got to take care of. You never know when you'll need them. And he's always been good to me. Any business deal that I've ever done, he's been a part of it. He goes above and beyond. And I'd put my life in that guy's hands. I don't care if I made $1 billion tomorrow, I'd let him have control of it. Because I know that he would make sure that it was taken care of. He got one of these with a red strap on it. I told him that I liked it, was interested in buying one, and he let me know a few weeks later. He's like, don't buy one. I got one being made for you, so. All right, let's get back to sports. So, as I said, I told you who I thought was on a little bit of an upset alert, NBA-wise. College-wise as well. Let's look at a little bit of hockey tonight since there's not much going on. We've got Anaheim playing New Jersey, two shit teams going at it. We've got Colorado going against Chicago. We've got Edmonton going up against St. Louis. I think at first glance, the easiest bet you could make blindly would be St. Louis. But I'm telling you right now, that front three of Edmonton isn't as bad as most people think. St. Louis, obviously, they haven't been the greatest of teams on no rest when playing teams with any sort of competition. Now, not to say that that's tonight. I think that if there was any active dog out there, Anaheim would be the biggest one. Colorado laying 155 in the United Center is a little bit steep, even though, Chicago is not a good hockey team. You can never overlook Patrick or Jonathan Toews in the United Center. It is going to be a packed crowd tonight. So, never know what can happen there. I could definitely see that one being more of a high-scoring game. But at first glance, let's wait and see what this St. Louis line does. If we can get it under 165, I'd love it as a money line bet. Right now it's 170, so probably play something in regulation, if anything. And I'm kind of liking that puck line a little bit, getting $1.40. I think it should be a little bit higher, though. And for all the people that were not in here at the beginning of the show, that knows anything about my podcast, Outfielders Anonymous, my baseball podcast, it was officially relaunched last night. Go to Spotify, go to Apple Podcast, iTunes, Google Play, doesn't matter. Type in Outfielders Anonymous, you'll see it. Our introductory episode's about 20 minutes long, and then our episode with a general manager presence in the Red Sox organization. And then we did another episode and got it recorded and uploaded last night, involving, it's all about the winter meetings, things that are going on in the off season, so on and so forth, that hopefully Apple and Spotify and everybody will approve later today. So I'm hoping that it will be up tonight. If not, usually they get it done within 24 to 48 hours. But it is complete, and we have booked and scheduled 2 interviews with 2 other people from major league organizations. I can't say who yet, but I am traveling just after Christmas to go meet and interview both of those people. So stay tuned for that. Go show the podcast some love. It's my baby. It's something that I have, not only wanted to do for a long time. It took a lot to get to where I could do it. It's a lot more time and work and money than most people realize. It's not just sitting there with a microphone and, recording yourself talk and then, hitting upload like YouTube is. It's fairly extensive. So it was a big commitment, a big investment, but it's something that I'm proud of and can't wait to bring you guys each and every week. And I'm kind of smelling a blowout in one of these games tonight. Let me look and see if anything else has come through. Let's double check a line here, and I'll go ahead and give you what I think is going to be a blowout. I don't love the spread, being that the team is still not the caliber of team that I think they could be. I think they've got the people there to do it. I think it's just going to take a little more time. a little more work. But I think that we've got a complete mismatch on our hands tonight with this game. I just want to make sure that there's nothing outstanding right now that is making this line as soft as it is, because I think that it's about 4 points off, in my opinion. And when I find something that's that far off, unless I find a reason that it's off, that's considering it a true edge in my system, and I will always play it. So let's check out something right here. Mookie's a good dude. I got to hang out with him when he was in single A ball, which was for a very, very short stint before he moved up and became the future Hall of Famer that we're looking at today. But he's such a good dude. People in Boston love him. He's truly a fan guy, which I like. All right, soft line. Should have opened at 26 in my opinion. Say 25 if you wanted to be conservative about it. Laying 21 points with UConn, I'm not scared of it at all. I think UConn can and will absolutely blow out St. Peter's. Like I said, I've got UConn ranked in my top 50. I know ESPN doesn't. I know KenPom doesn't. So I'm probably giving them a lot more credit than most, but I think that we're looking at a team that if they went on a tear, you're looking at a team that could very well make the tournament. I mean, it's going to take a lot, but it's not impossible. And St. Peter's, I mean, we're talking about somebody that's in like the bottom 30 of all teams in basketball. I really, really like UConn tonight. UConn is something that I've already wagered on at the premium level. Like I said, I'd love to read a morning report for everything just to verify that no one's sitting or something of that nature. I don't see why they would. UConn's not the type of team to do it even when they can. But the line is soft. But I went ahead and jumped in and got the line quick just in case it were to shoot up. And the second that I get the report, like I said, if there's nothing detrimental on it, that will be a premium play. I really like UConn tonight. So if you're willing to go ahead and place an early bet, now if something detrimental comes up, and I mean like detrimental to where like I'm going to hedge my bet because of it, I will make sure that I post it on the YouTube community to let everyone that's in this chat know that I'm doing so you can do the same. But I don't see that happening. I think that UConn is the better team. I think UConn plays all their guys. They have 6 really good starters they can rotate. They have 2 other bodies that they'll be able to put in the second half for good durations that are great rebounders, not very good scorers. But at that point, it's just rebounding, controlling the ball, burning clock, and I see UConn in what could be a complete rout. Now, that's not saying that if they just lay over that, St. Peter's couldn't score. But if UConn comes to play for 40 minutes, this game is not going to be close. This game is going to be a route. And I'm talking, like, if UConn won by 40 plus, it would not surprise me. You know, I heard that last week. Well, I heard the rumor of it last year. But last week, I heard that, like, paperwork had been signed and that, like, it was official, like, what do you call it? The venue and everything had been picked out. So, good for Montreal. Because NBA is becoming such a global thing, I really think that the NCAA is trying to kind of build off of that platform. And because that right there attracts kids, the NBA is attracting the people in those countries to the game. College is a way for the people in those other countries to get here. Obviously, the NBA can get you here, but a lot of people in other countries, I mean, Montreal's not one of them because they have a great educational system. And I mean, hell, people leave the U.S. to go to, universities in Montreal. That's actually where my attorney's originally from, is Montreal. But we're just taking it outside of the U.S. I think Canada was an easy option because, it's just the neighbors to the north. But I think that's going to start in allowing, them to get places like India, places, like China, places, and then just get them more involved in a big tournament that is not preseason, that allows it to mean something. So hopefully that'll go through. I hate cold weather, but Montreal is a gorgeous, gorgeous place. Like, if there's anywhere in Canada that I think I would live, I mean, other than Toronto, because I'm a city guy, like, if I was forced to move to Canada, I think I would choose Montreal. Like I said, except for Toronto, just because it's, a short drive to, like, a Detroit or something like that. And it's more metropolized. Walter, I'd actually have to go back and check the percentage. Hold on, I may have it on this computer. I know that the head-to-head percentage was well into the 80s. I don't know the exact number. If it's hard to gauge, I mean, because you can't. I mean, if you just look at race winners, um, I think he won. He had a race winner in every race other than, I want to say it was 9 races. But don't hold me to that. I'll have to go back and look. And for some reason, 84 is standing out in my head. I know that the head-to-head percentages were in the 80s. I just don't know the exact number. I think it's 84, but I could be off. It could be higher, it could be lower. But I know for a 100% fact it was above 80. Christian, you let me know. You come to the States for a game. You let me know what game you want to go to, where it's at, and I will fly and meet you there. I'll even buy the tickets. You just have to get there. Hold on, guys. Garrett Cole press conference.
Thank you, Jason. It's an exciting time for us. We try to with every transaction, whether it's big or small, we always have high hopes and expectations and excitement surrounding the decisions behind them, and looking forward to them leading to real positive things on the field in days and years to come. So this is another chapter that obviously a much bigger chapter. But let me speak about this particular chapter. We're going to be introducing someone today that from afar I've had a lot of admiration for. And why is that? Although I don't have a chance to, until recently, to get to know.
All right, I got it recorded so I can watch it later. All right, let's see what else we got on the board for tonight. So, take the UConn play as a free play. I definitely like that. Like I said, if something crazy changes, I'll let you guys know. But I don't see much being able to happen to change my mind about that play. There's a lot of high spreads again today, guys. But again, we're still kind of getting out of the nobody games. We're very close to getting into conference schedules, and even before those conference schedules really take full effect within every conference, you're still going to have some big games. Like hence tonight, you have North Carolina Gonzaga. So even though North Carolina's playing as bad as they are, it's still a big game. It's still Gonzaga. It's still North Carolina. So you still have things like that before North Carolina kicks off its slate of ACC games. So that's why we're still seeing a lot of the high spreads, and we'll probably continue to see those throughout Christmas, and then those spreads will calm down a little bit. They'll become a little more competitive, games that mean a little more, and you'll start really seeing what teams are going to be made of down the stretch. And playing top competition night in and night out. Already done a recap, KG, twice, as a matter of fact. Louise yesterday was not great. But, as we say, bad days happen. Bad months and bad years do not. Hell, bad weeks will happen. It won't happen a lot, but they've happened before. They'll certainly happen again. But we're only 2 days into the week, so I'm certainly not going to really concern myself with it. Let me check something real quick, because I told you guys that the 7 days of Christmas was coming up. Let me make sure that they've actually got everything up and ready before I go telling people that it is ready. All right, good. They finally have the stuff up. Now all I have to do is approve it, and I can announce what it is. And you guys can take advantage all you want. What's up, Ari? Well, I mean, there's a couple of them that are, Keith, but I don't think that it's. I think that it appears that way, but I think, truth be told, what it is that they're not trying to put them away as much. I think, truth be told, that teams like Ohio State, Michigan State, Kentucky, even Purdue, even though I think they're as good as they are, talent-wise, you see where I have them ranked. Your Oregons, your Butlers, your Baylors, Arizonas, especially teams like Dayton. I think that they're worried about fatigue more than they should be. So when they get these smaller schools, these nobodies, when they get to a comfortable lead where they feel like that it's impossible for them to lose, they're backing way off because they're thinking weeks ahead of time going, oh, we don't want to be tired for when we have to play real competition. And, I always go back to the mentality of Bobby Knight or Roy or Boeheim or Coach K, so on and so forth, where tomorrow doesn't matter, next week doesn't matter, we don't even know if we'll be around to see it. Today matters because this is what's right in front of you. You go out there, you play to the best of your ability, and you win at all costs. It's like Bill Belichick or Nick Saban going out there and saying, well, you just blew out a team by 50 points, and they say, yeah, but we made 2 mistakes. And it's like, if there's ways to improve, so we could have won by more. So winning by 50 is not acceptable because we know that we could have done more. I like that mentality. And I don't think that in this day and age, a lot of these teams I think there's a lot of teams this year that are sitting in a position that's surprising to them. It's not just surprising to people from the outside looking in. I think teams like Ohio State, like Purdue, like Baylor, for instance. I especially think teams like Florida State coming in with not as high of hopes as what analytics thought. I think they're surprised to be sitting where they're sitting, and I think they're scared to put themselves out there because they know one slip up, one mistake, they're not going to be sitting there anymore, and it's going to be, oh, they shouldn't have been there from the beginning. That's my take on it. But again, what do I know? I don't think. I mean, like I said, I redid my my power rankings last night. That Stanford game was included in there. I did all teams, and it was going through all the games from last night as well. So every game's now been taken into consideration. Stanford landed on 51. I mean, they landed right on 51. I think they can improve on that number, but I still think they're a good ways away from being a true top 25 contender. And to truth be told, with the way the Big Ten is shaping out this year, and being that the Pac-12 is kind of lopsided, I don't foresee Stanford ending up in the top 25 when it's all said and done. I don't see Stanford going to the dance. Let me put it that way. Boston in basketball, I said that they were a live dog. Well, I didn't say they were a live dog. They're favored. What I said was that Dallas could possibly be primed for a home upset. We'll just have to see. I'm not overly in love with Boston. I haven't put any money on that game. But if I had a gun to my head right at this very second, I'd probably lay the point. I probably wouldn't lay a point and a half Boston. I'd probably take the money line at $1.15. But I don't foresee myself having money on that game. I think the line's accurate. I think the total's accurate. I think that it's fair. I don't see much value or any sort of, edge. Yeah, we actually, so I told you guys I was betting the money line on the Pacers on the live show yesterday, which I did for $300, but I actually ended up releasing the Pacers +4 as a big premium play. It was the only NBA game I released yesterday, and they, obviously they won outright, so it was a nice winner there in the NBA. I was looking at the Brooklyn game last night, but I held off. It just didn't quite make the cut. But the more that I looked at that Indiana game, the more, and the fact that Davis wasn't playing, I loved it more and more each and every time I looked at it. The Bruins are not horrible. The Bruins lost to a horrible team last night, but the Bruins are far from horrible. The Bruins have the best front three in all of hockey. They have one of the best home teams in hockey. They have a top 5 goaltender. They have one of the top 3 forwards. They've got one of the best defenseman cores. You're looking at a team that could very easily be back in the Stanley Cup this year. Have they made a lot of dumb decisions? Yes. Do they need to perk things up on the defensive end outside of that front three? Yes. But Boston's a very, very talented hockey team. Despite the loss last night, every team in a sport like that, it's like baseball. You can have a team that is the best team in baseball. There's still going to be a time throughout the season they're probably going to go lose 3, 5, 8, even 10 games in a row. And then, of course, the general public's like, oh, they're terrible. No, they're not. Sometimes you just have to kick back, take a loss, regroup to get ready for the bigger picture. I don't think Boston too much cared about LA last night, truth be told. Now, I am surprised that them being at home with how they've played over the past 2 weeks didn't motivate them a little bit more. But again, I don't know what goes on inside the locker rooms of these guys. They could have very well said, listen, we want to beat LA, but we're not going to go out there and do anything different to try to do so. We're not going to go off on a limb to do it. It's either we win or we lose because we have competition that we have to worry about more in our division and our conference coming up in the short weeks. And we've got another road trip coming up. And LA is not somebody they're going to have to worry about come spring because LA is going to be sitting at home and Boston's going to be in the thick of the postseason. Being that it's such a long season, being that they play teams as much as they do, I think hockey is the most physical game that you can play. But yet I think that it's got a lot of the mental factors that a game like baseball has that something like basketball or football does not pertain because it's shorter seasons. Like in football, you play 16 weeks. Whoop-de-doo. I know it's physical. I know it's grinding, but it's like, hey, you're not going to see a team more than twice in the regular season. You're going to have this many home games. It's always set, It's a whole different mental game where every single game means something. In baseball and in hockey, no. Only about 60% of the games mean something. Just think about that for a second. 40% of your games essentially don't matter. That's kind of hard to wrap your brain around, but it's just a fact. I'm certainly not impressed by the way Boston's playing at the moment, but I will never even start to think that they're not a fantastic hockey team. They've got some adjustments they need to make, and I think post All-Star game they will. But right now I think they're just riding the success of early season to carry them to that point where they figure out what changes need to be made, what's going to be most important, and how they're going to have to play it down the stretch once they get into February. All right, so let's go over a couple of these things so I can get this out of the way, the stuff that's already been posted. So the 7 days of Christmas, there'll be things popping up, things coming down. But for today, what we've got on deck is the 1 month consulting pass that runs for $3.99. Is on sale for $200. Now, this is a standard 1 month pass, so it's the same thing as buying a 3-day pass or a 7-day pass. You just get it for 30 days, and it's only $200. You get all the premium plays, and you get every daily top play for 30 days in all sports. No games of the week, games of the month, or games of the year. But we do have a top play month. That top play month is $5.99 normally. That is on sale for $250 at the moment. And like I said, it's a $599 package. This does not include the premium plays, but what it does have is every daily top play, whether there's one or two each day. You get all of those, plus you get every game of the week, game of the month, and or play of the year in that month span. So whatever we have, however many you get them. So you're getting top plays only, and that's more designed for the people that like to step out a little bit more, lower volume, higher money. That's on sale there. The basketball combo pass for NBA and NCAA, the rest of the seasons, March Madness, all that stuff included, is on sale for $500. And that right there is that's a $1,600 pass normally. It's on sale for $500. So make sure that you take advantage of that if that is something that you are wanting to play for the duration of those seasons. And the 2020 MLB season, as I said, I did a $500 special the other week. I said that would not be coming back. I'm holding true to that. It's a $2,000 pass. It is the most valuable thing that you can buy within my company. It's well worth that and then some, but it is on sale for $750. It's still over 50% off, and that is peanuts compared to what you're going to make back in the first month. But you get baseball all season, all the way through the World Series. So that's what we've got going on for today, as well as Patrick's NASCAR is on sale for $250. I basically made the executive decision to bring that back because we only ran that for a day, and I think a lot of people missed out on the opportunity. So we'll bring it back for the Christmas specials. So you've got a couple of days to buy that. And there's a couple of more things that are coming up. As far as like the top play or the 1 year all access, I'm still waiting on them to put that up so I can approve that. And at that point, we will I'll announce that. NHL for the remainder of the season goes all the way through the Stanley Cup Finals until someone is hoisting the trophy. That is on sale for $400. That is a $1,500 package. But that's about all we've got for today. So if you have any questions, let me know. Irie, the play that I've given out today, as far as free plays go, the official one that I've given out, I mean, we've talked about a bunch of games. I've given my thoughts and kind of right off the hip prediction. But the one that I've already locked in and wagered on for the day was UConn minus 21 over St. Peter's. That is the one game that I see a high spread here that's absolutely justified. I think that it's soft in my opinion. When I power ranked it, I had it at minus 26. So I see a lot of value. I see an edge on a soft line. I see a team that doesn't let up when they get, up by a lot. They rotate 6 guys religiously. And I truly see if UConn really comes to play for 40 minutes, I see an absolute rout. Yes, it was. Yes, was. I may be missing some of this stuff. Yo, Randy. Hey, Randy, do me a favor. Entertain everybody for a second while I take this jacket off because it's 1,000 degrees in here. Be back in 20 seconds. All right. Ah, Matt, I got you. I was wondering if I was missing out on stuff people were saying. Because a few minutes ago, that chat was lagging versus the video, so. All right, so Christmas specials are up, or at least some of them are. We'll have more tomorrow. The month, the top play month, the basketball combo pass, NASCAR, MLB, and NHL are all up. Make sure you guys take advantage of that. We've only got a week until Christmas, which is insane. I haven't even. My wife's been shopping since September. It feels like I haven't even begun to start. That actually reminds me of something. What's up, Brian? Tim? What's up, Danny? All right. So for those that weren't here at the beginning, Go support the relaunch of Outfielders Anonymous podcast. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iTunes, Google Play, anything. We did the official relaunch last night, so the introductory episode as well as episode 1 is up, as well as episode 2, which is the coverage of the winter meetings episode. That one is recorded and uploaded. Usually, like I said, 24 to 48 hours is how long it takes Apple as well as Spotify to approve it and then make it public. So I'm hoping anytime now that one will be up. Make sure you go show that some love, so that way we can go ahead and release our sponsors and advertisers for it here before the first of the year. Free play that we gave out earlier, which was one of the high spreads that I saw. I think that UConn, if they come to play, completely routes St. Peter's. I think it's a soft line. Yo, Oliver, what's up? Chase, don't own a cattle farm. It's way too much work. I don't think you have to worry about me owning a cattle farm. Or a farm of any sort. I wouldn't even own an ant farm. Not much of the farming type. I don't know if you guys caught on to that, but that is certainly not me. I know it's early, but would you consider the Astros a top 5 team for this coming season? No, and I'll tell you why. Obviously, they lost Garrett Cole, but that's not going to be what takes them out of top 5 contention. I think what's looming around them due to these allegations of cheating or, whatever you want to call it, I think that is going to play a very big part in this season. I think with the fines that they have in place, you may look at someone like a Bregman or a Carlos Correa, somebody like that they still have control over. They may look at potentially doing a trade while there's value there. Because once they go into free agency, since they signed as young as they did, the Astros got tremendous value out of it, and it worked out. Once they go into free agency, the price is going to skyrocket. The Astros aren't going to want to dump that much money to keep them, so that's when they go to full rebuild. To prevent a full rebuild, they're going to have to basically sell them. So if they do that now and they basically kind of hunker down for the next 2 to 3 seasons, save some money, get this past them, you'll watch them come right back and be a contender in the AL West again. But I think because of what's gone on, it takes them out of top 5. They're going to be looking, after they spend all this cash, to stack up some cash. It's going to have to come in the form of letting some players go, because I can promise you that attendance is going to drop a little bit this year. That's my opinion on it. Truth be told, right now, I think the Dodgers are still going to make a couple of moves that are unseen. And unless the Yankees make one more big move, I truly believe that overall the Dodgers are the front runner. There's no question that I think that the Yankees will be the front runner in not only the AL East, but probably in the American League overall. But I still do not believe that the Yankees are a better team than the Dodgers, or will have a better team than the Dodgers. Dog's not even in here. Don't even know where she is. All right, so before I close the site down, since I've already approved the stuff that I've approved, does anybody have any questions on any of the Christmas specials that we've posted today? I'm going to leave it up if I need to refer back to it. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and close that for now. Ari, I'll be honest with you. LSU is actually higher ranked in my system than a lot of people are giving them credit for. I've actually got them in my top 25. They are number 25 overall. Do I think that East Tennessee could cover against LSU? Sure, on any given night, to be honest with you. But right now, LSU's playing for something. I think LSU's trying to make a statement, and I really think that with the better job that teams like Ole Miss, Alabama, and Arkansas have been doing on the recruiting trail, as well as teams from Texas, it's made it difficult for LSU to land some of the bigger recruits that they've had on the line. The only way to change that is to continue winning. From everything that I can read, LSU has 3 big potential commits coming in over the next 2 home games, one of them being tonight. So I think that you might see LSU show out a little bit to try to land one of these big guys. I'm not going to say the name and speculate because it hasn't been officially said who's on campus yet. But one of these guys is a top 10 overall college recruit for 2020, or for going into the 2020-2021 season. So being able to get a team like East Tennessee, I think we could see a blowout. And just so everybody knows that the MLB season's a $2,000 package for the Christmas special. I told everybody we were not taking it back down to $500. That was a one-day thing only. It's down to $750 for Christmas. After this Christmas special ends, there will not be another discount on MLB. It will go back to full price, and it will stay at full price, and it will stay at that full price until the All-Star break. There was a text message right there about MLB. Can I buy after the first of the year? No. Well, you can, but you'll be buying it for $2,000. I think anybody in this room that's ever been on my MLB before can tell you that even at $2,000, as long as you're not betting $25 a game, you'll probably make your money back in the first month of the season. $750 is peanuts compared to what you're going to make in baseball. And that's just a fact. All right, let's see. Okay, so back to college basketball. So I already just asked what I thought about LSU. We've talked about the Oregon game. We've talked about the Connecticut game. We've touched a little bit on Arizona State. Any game in particular that you guys want to talk about? Obviously, I'm not going to go over every game. I'm not going to give a free play or a lean on every game. But I mean, anything in particular that you guys, maybe looking at, maybe something you guys have already bet. Give me something like that. A game that somebody in here has already put money on. It was their own decision to do so, and I'll tell you whether I like the bet, I don't like it, and my reasons why. And I'm not answering about 20 different games. Somebody give me a legitimate game that they've already put their money on. College basketball, not NFL that's 5 days away or 4 days away. I don't even start doing my NFL true breakdowns until Fridays. Yep, did it. What was it? A couple weeks ago, I did it for 500. But 750 is still a steal. I mean, it's a $2,000 package. I mean, you're talking literally about 60%, about 65% off. And that's going to be around like that's not even going to be around come this weekend. So if you're going to get it quick. Because like I said, once I take that off, it goes back to 2,000, and it will be 2,000 until MLB's All-Star break in July. Because that's when I always go in and drop the price of it down at that time. We cut it in half, but that's only because half the season's gone. So, I mean, even at that time, if you waited till the All-Star break, you'd still be paying $1,000. Western Carolina versus Xavier, VCU -5, Oregon State -8. Well, all right, let's start with Xavier. Xavier is another one of those teams that I probably give more credit than most so-called experts. I've got Xavier in my top 30. They're actually ranked 30th overall in my system. Western Carolina is nowhere near that. I've got them ranked all the way back. You guys may actually get a kick out of this. Western Carolina is just a small team, guys. I mean, if you look at, especially when it comes to weight, like they can't bang the boards with anybody. They literally get just broke down. Xavier's not the best rebounding team, and here's one of the few instances where they just sheerly, not only do they overmatch them, they are just on such an advantage level when it comes to pure size. So I do think that the line is a hair bit soft. I had it at 16.5. I mean, usually that's not going to make me jump all over something just to see a 2-point differential or a 1.5 based on what the line is right now. But I have Western Carolina just barely breaking into the top 200. Xavier is a good team playing in front of their own fans. What you also have to worry about is a lot of these crowds on a game like this. A lot of students left, after finals, they're going home, stuff like that. And a lot of these universities, the only ones that are hanging around are ones like Gonzaga's kids are going to hang around to watch, North Carolina come to town. Even though North Carolina's playing as bad as they are, that's still a big deal to have a team like that come into town and play. Keep in mind, just a few short years ago, North Carolina beat up on them pretty damn bad as 8-point favorites in the national championship game. You've got Cincinnati kids probably hanging around for the Tennessee game. I'd say Northwestern kids are hanging around for the Michigan State game. Plus, a lot of Northwestern kids live in and around the Chicagoland area anyway. So it's not like they're, having to stay back for the holidays or anything. But other than that, like that Xavier game against Western Carolina, it wouldn't surprise me to see $6 tickets in an empty arena. So I don't think that home court's really going to be much of an advantage. So I do think that that's been taken into consideration with this line. Like I said, I think the line is more accurate than some. I don't love it. I don't see enough of an edge. But if I was forced to bet it, I would most certainly lay 15 with Xavier well before I would take 15 points and fade them. Sorry, I thought I heard somebody in my driveway. DePaul minus 15 might not be a bad bet. DePaul certainly is a much better team. I mean, they're a top 100 team facing, a bottom 100 team. But again, DePaul, I had them when I power ranked that. That was the second game I did of the day. I had them ranked at 13.5 versus 16. So if I was absolutely forced to pick the game without digging into it, because all I've done right now is gone through and gone off basic power rankings and give my initial line thoughts. I would probably take the home team, and the 16 points is what it's sitting at now. But like I said, I may dig farther into that game and end up laying money on DePaul. Because right now, if any edge that I see, if nothing's changed, I see a slight edge with Cleveland State being at home, getting just a few too many points, in my opinion. Gonzaga, Tar Heels, truth be told, with the way the Tar Heels are playing, plus they're now playing on the West Coast, having the thought of having to break for the holidays, get right back to it, Anthony's injury looming over everything, so many question marks, plus traveling across to Northern California to play. I think the line's soft. But I think the odds makers are trying to tell us something, that it's still Roy Williams. It's still North Carolina. They know this Gonzaga team. The Gonzaga way of playing has not changed. Players have changed. You're still seeing the same Gonzaga team year in and year out. That's why they're always as successful as they are. So it would not surprise me one bit to see North Carolina keep this well within double digits. But if I had to go off the fact of how the teams are playing at this point in time, then Gonzaga should blow them out. And I mean blow them out. But I think that the odds makers are telling us something here by saying, yeah, it should be a blowout, but don't ever forget that it's North Carolina. Don't ever forget that it's Roy Williams. And how many times do you think you're ever going to see Roy Williams' team be, an underdog by this amount? You're certainly not going to see it by what the line should have been based on play over the last 3 weeks. Because if you just take that into consideration, Gonzaga should have been favored by 18 points plus. But it wouldn't happen because, again, Roy Williams could just play with 3 guys tonight and still probably, not be an underdog by that significant of a margin. I would never lay 175. I certainly wouldn't lay 175 in a game like basketball. I don't even lay 175 in the MLB. My limit, I've never gone above 160, but I try to keep it under 150 if, and that's in a sport where you have to play money lines. You don't have to play money lines in basketball. If I'm going to play a money line in basketball, I don't think that I've ever given out a game above 125. And I know I've never played anything remotely close to a 175 in basketball. That is bankroll suicide right there. right, guys. Well, we've been running for a little over 2 hours now. I've got a ton of work to do, so jump off here, get to work, get these plays out. Christmas specials are up on the site. Go to chasewins.com, go to the purchase page. Anything from a month package, it's half off. MLB season, NHL season, the basketball combo pass, NASCAR, anything you can think of, everything is 50% or more off. How often do I buy points in basketball or football? Basketball, very, very rarely. Football, only if it lands on one of those numbers like 7, 6.5, 6, 3, 3.5, things like that. I mean, my clients know how it is. I buy them when they need to be bought. I don't look to buy points. I don't like buying points, but I will always buy a point if it is a common number in football, like, oh, so-and-so's -7. Well, if I'm going to play that game, I'm always going to buy it to 6.5, so I don't have to worry about a 7 being a push. It's a win. Can't land on 6.5. So, but very rarely in basketball. Like, I think I've done it one time this season. I can't say that I'll definitely do it again. In basketball, if I'm not willing to lay that half point, then that means that I'm not overly confident in it anyway. So more than likely, I'm not going to play it. I'm certainly not going to go risk any more vig on it, to only gain a half point. Because a half point in basketball doesn't mean a whole lot in most circumstances. But it sure as the world when I say that we'll lose a game by a half point. But no problem, Keith. Like I said, I'll let you know when we have that. You will get an email, so be on the lookout for that. Make sure you guys jump on one of the Christmas specials before it goes. And by Christmas special, it doesn't mean that it's going to be up there till Christmas. We're going to run them for a couple of days. Baseball, maybe just today. That way I don't get overly flooded with that. But make sure you guys jump on one of those. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. I'll start jumping on my emails here after I get the plays done. But if you have any questions, let me know. Go check out the podcast, Outfielders Anonymous, and we'll go have a big winning day. And more than likely, we're probably going to do our normal Thursday live show tomorrow, start talking about some football for this weekend, and that may be our final live show of this week. So we'll try to have as many as we can before we take a few days away for the Christmas holiday. So you guys let me know if you need anything, if you have any questions. If not, go sign up for a package, join the family. If you're already a part of the family, become a long-term member of the family. Let's keep winning. All you got to do is follow the system and follow my plays, and I can assure you long-term you will be successful. Short-term doesn't matter. There will be losing days. If that's not something you can handle, I am not your guy. If you're looking for something long-term, there is no better guy. So come be a part of it, guys. I love you. I thank you. And I will see you guys back at some point tomorrow for another live show. We'll go over some basketball, some more baseball talk, and we will get into what we like in this weekend's big football card with a lot of implications on the line now that we know who's sitting out of the playoffs, who's going to be in the playoffs. Now let's see what teams really want to go and pound it out for what little we've got left of the regular season. So, guys, if you need anything, like I said, let me know. I'll be on the lookout for everyone to jump on the Christmas specials. If not, oh well. And I'm sure we'll see you after the first of the year for something. So, have a good day, guys. Be on the lookout for the plays, everybody that's on a package. And we'll go out there and kill it again. See you guys.